Well, good day everyone. I am here at El Toro Memorial Park in Mission Viejo, California. I believe this is my fourth visit to this memorial park. I'm here to discuss one of the victims of the Golden State Killer. She's the only one that I know of that's buried here. There were 4 victims in Orange County, and this particular person is here. She is Manuela Witthun. She was born December 8th, 1952 in Frankfurt, Germany. She eventually, I don't know what happened, but she and her family immigrated over here to America. We're going to visit her grave. It's in the live oak section of the cemetery. Over there, as you can see, is the maintenance yard. And she's situated up here. We're going to walk there. Her life was taken from her in her house in Irvine, California, just off of Jeffrey Avenue, on February 6, 1981, at the tender age of 28 years of age. She was alone at the time of her attack. Her husband, David, was recuperating from an illness, and he was in the hospital, so he was unavailable. The Golden State Killer, who was originally called the original Night Stalker, but he had been stalking her, studying her house, her neighborhood. And as I said, he entered her house and struck on February 6, 1981. The details of all of these murders are very gruesome. I'm not going to go into detail. I will put a link or two in the description below so that you can read about it or watch the other videos on your own. But I've come here to pay my respects to her. For many years, the police thought her husband David did it. I don't know how he would have done it if he was in the hospital recuperating from an illness, but he was their prime suspect for several years until they finally caught the guy 40 years later. Unfortunately, David, her husband, had to live with this cloud of suspicion over his head, and he died in, I believe it was 2008, so it was years before this guy was caught. The suspect was an ex-police officer, Joseph James DeAngelo, who was caught in 2018 by DNA evidence that wasn't available to the state of California. It was actually DNA evidence that came from one of those genealogy sites. I know my brother sent his genealogy into the National Geographic and found out some things about our family background. That's a popular thing to do now. Well, the investigators in 2018 finally did that and found a match eventually. Let's walk to her grave. It's right over here. It's right over here. I have a couple of other videos to do on the Orange County victims of the Golden State Killer, but they're not buried here. They're buried over at Pacific View Memorial Park, and I'll be going there probably tomorrow. She's right here near my red chair. Now imagine this, for 40 years, because this guy started his spree in 1974 while he was still a cop over in Sacramento County. And so for 40 years, they didn't even suspect him. Anyway, she's buried alone. Her husband remarried after her death, and he's buried in San Bernardino County somewhere. This guy terrorized California at the time. He committed 13 murders, 51 rapes, 120 robberies, and being a cop, he knew how to evade law enforcement. You see, when a police officer goes bad, corrupt cops are very, very, very dangerous. Much more so than your typical killer. But nature stepped in. Nature identified him eventually with his DNA, which, as you know, in the 70s and the 80s, there was no such thing as real DNA analysis. They had other biological forensics, such as blood type, that they would rely on. But DNA came along in the early 90s, and he was matched up. So why did it take so long? The guy is still alive. As I said, I'll go into more detail about him in the other videos. Right now, he's at California State Prison in Corcoran. He's serving 13 consecutive life sentences, 1 lifetime for each murder that he pled guilty to. But in preparing for this, it occurred to me the words of Solomon in Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Why is it that bad guys get away with their crimes so often? In fact, more often than not, they get away with their crimes in this life. Solomon said, because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. That should make sense to you. If I know that I can get away with something, I'm more prone to do it and keep doing it because I'm not having any consequences. But Solomon said, though a sinner does evil 100 times and his days are prolonged, yet I surely know that it will be well with those who fear God and who fear before him, but it will not be well with the wicked. Well said, King Solomon. Do good in this life, because even if you do evil and you think you get away with it in this life, you won't in the next. Fear God, believe his word, and do righteously. That's all I got to tell you. I will see you on the next video. Oh, and by the way, I brought a stone for her. I almost forgot to leave it. Rest in peace, lovely lady. So sad she died so young. But I hope that she is in peace, and I hope she died right with God. My condolences to her family. 44 years later, it still hurts, I'm sure. But God is still on his throne and he still rules. See you in the next video.